You have the technical things in place. 2G, 3G connectivity, device issue is solved. The lender has backup eSign, in this case, routing in place. And they go to the customer thinking, yes, now I can actually do eSign for this transaction, right? So the link loads, the document loads, they proceed to the eSign screen, and then they're again stuck, right? Because it turns out that the borrower doesn't have a mobile linked with Aadhaar. So there's no way for them to actually get the Aadhaar OTP to do the e-sign. Lenders prepared for this. Lender says, doesn't matter. We are not reliant only on OTP. We also have biometric available. So they try biometric, but again, the customer's fingerprints are faded because they're faded because of the hard manual work they do every day. And this is very common in rural lending use cases, right? And they can't sign, right? Again, because the biometrics are faded, right? So this scenario I've described to you, or these two scenarios I've described to you, do not, of course, happen in a majority of cases, but they happen in a significant minority of cases, maybe at least 10 to 15% of cases, where for some reason or the other, the primary modes of Aadhaar simply do not work. And 10 to 15% of cases is a large number of cases, enough to make your field force actually switch back to paper because it's just easier rather than keep toggling between the two. So how do you actually fix this? So the solution to this is simple, is to avoid reliance only on one or two modes of Aadhaar eSign. Many think I have OTP and biometric, I'm sorted. Really, like eSign is not just this. What you actually need is a bouquet of eSign options built into your flow, right? Aadhaar face and iris as well. Or if Aadhaar itself doesn't work for some cases, you need backup options to Aadhaar itself that can keep the flow digital, right? And this fits in with our earlier understanding that this is not simply a simple eSign implementation. This is a full infrastructure implementation. So you need in the backend support for all or many eSign types. I want to go on a slight detour right now and talk about one of these types, which is Aadhaar face sign, which I mentioned just now. This is a very underrated eSign type that a lot of lenders, especially for rural lending, are sleeping on, because all Aadhaar face sign needs is your Aadhaar face RD app on an Android device, basically the device that your branch or field force already carry. You just need one app install. And once that is done, it's a simple one-time config. You can actually collect eSign via simple face authentication, right? And lenders are finding this to have immense value as a backup to Aadhaar, OTP, and biometric, because ultimately, like, your customer may not have a phone linked with Aadhaar, they may not have workable biometrics. They will definitely have a face that is registered with Aadhaar. And I specifically wanted to spotlight this because this type of e-sign is actually, people have a misconception that this is somehow more expensive. It's the same cost as other modes of e-sign. But unlike biometric e-sign, it doesn't actually need an extra device. Your existing field tablet can be converted into a face e-sign device, right? So lenders often hesitate at things like biometric because of an extra cost. Face eSign can also be a great alternative there, because you don't actually need the cost of that biometric device, right? And it's available as we speak. Already more than 27 lakh face eSigns have been done via legality, usually as a backup to a primary mode of Aadhaar eSign. So now back on track from that slight detour. So what do you do when you have multiple eSign options at your disposal, right? You don't want to just offer all of them at front. This will cause confusion if you give 6, 7 options. And you don't want your field officers to directly switch to non-Aadhaar because that option, just because that option is available, right? You want them to go try Aadhaar first before switching to non-Aadhaar. You don't, like most lenders have a preferred e-sign type, right? A preferred primary e-sign type. So your flow needs to focus and prioritize that option first without leaving it to the discretion of the ground staff. So for this, what you need is an eSign cascade system, right? And here's one example of a cascade system. Let's say you set up a preferred option or set of options for eSign. These are the ones which will display first. Let's say your first preferred option is Aadhaar OTP, right? So the customer tries Aadhaar OTP first. Your field officer has no control here. Aadhaar OTP is offered as the option. They try to do it once. Let's say they try it once and it doesn't work. They try it again and it's not working, right? Here in such a system, you can set a number of failure attempts for your primary option that you will tolerate. Once that failure limit for that primary eSign option has been breached, then the cascade system on the next retry will surface multiple backup Aadhaar options, right? Like Aadhaar biometric, Aadhaar face. So let's say in this scenario, you decide, okay, Aadhaar OTP, if it doesn't work twice in a row, let me display other Aadhaar types, right? So let's say the third time, the field officer can actually have the borrower sign through, say, Aadhaar biometric or Aadhaar face. But let's say then UIDAI itself on that third attempt is facing downtime, right? So Aadhaar itself doesn't work, not just OTP, but even biometric and face. So you set a number of failure attempts for this backup type as well. Once this failure limit has been reached, let's say you say that if the third time it doesn't work with backup, allow non-Aadhaar. So the fourth time they try, non-Aadhaar options will actually appear for use, right? So your branch officer can then make the customer do a secure OTP based virtual sign, for example, right? You don't actually have to break the digital flow. You can continue the digital flow while ensuring your people on the ground have to offer an Aadhaar option first, right? And this order of cascade and what I've told you just now is just an example. Like the actual order of cascade, what is made available in the cascade, what your primary eSign type actually is, what your secondary eSign type actually is all customizable by you. But the basic point is that your eSign system is not simply an eSign, like an API generated link that opens for a single transaction. It should actually orchestrate and support multiple eSign options with conditional availability in order to actually ensure that in all rural lending scenarios, you actually have an answer that keeps the process digital, right? So anyway,